Hi guys, it's Tech Boy here in another video. This video is my top 5 Apple products in terms of hardware updates I'm expecting to see from them before the end of 2014. So let's get into it. This was filmed after WWDC 2014, almost 2 weeks after the keynote itself. There has been no hardware releases so far this year, excluding the minor spec bumps for the MacBook Air and the return of the iPad with Retina display, of which replaced the iPad 2, which was the one that came out in October 2012. I own a MacBook Pro Retina, iPad Air, and iPhone 5S, all from 2013, so I have no intentions whatsoever of updating the hardware of any of my devices for the foreseeable future. The only one I would do would be the iPhone 5S when my contract expires and if I were to upgrade my phone then. Let's just go through my top 5 and you will see the approach I am trying to take towards it. Number 5 is Mac hardware updates. So I'm expecting major updates to happen in October. Spec bumps are expected to happen for the iMac, probably just for the CPU alone between when I'm recording this video and when you'll probably see it on YouTube. Updates to the MacBook Pros, including the Retina line, because I would imagine they'll kill off the non-Retina MacBook Pros. Minor updates to the Mac Pro, probably in processing power and all that. The MacBook Air Retina is a slight possibility. Mac Mini updates has to come by the end of the year because no matter how minor it is, even if it's just a CPU upgrade, because otherwise it's going to feel like Apple wants to kill the product from their product line, because if you think about it, Eddie Q said it is the best product line he has seen in his 25 years at Apple, and surely that product line does not include outdated products. So you would imagine when he says the best he's seen in 25 years, it's got to be the best, most up-to-date, refreshing product line he's seen. And this also applies to the Thunderbolt display. So that's what I'm expecting for Mac hardware updates. Number 4 is software updates in relation to iOS 8 and OS X Yosemite. Expect a release date to the public, that's a non-Retina version for the iOS 8 release, to happen in September, a couple of days prior to the iPhone 6 release. Expect OS X Yosemite to be released to the public either in September, but more likely in October when the Mac hardware updates come, just like last year, 2013. Split screen multitasking has been found within iOS 8 Beta 1, but the question is whether or not it will be fully implemented when it comes to being released to the public, and I sure hope they do, because on the iPad Air I can imagine it being really useful. iPad Mini probably just as useful, and more useful if anything on an iPad Pro 12-inch iPad if they ever released one, so hopefully they will do this, and same for public transit options. Do not expect drastic changes to happen between now and the release date. It's just a matter of ironing out the bugs, stabilizing the software, and just making sure everything works. That's the whole point of betas, so don't expect anything drastic between now and the respective release dates. Number 3 is iPads. The iPad Air is a great tablet. The only thing holding it back is software, especially in relation to split screen multitasking, because putting that on the iPad is just going to kill the Microsoft Surface, I reckon. But that does not mean they should slack off with the hardware. Touch ID is expected, like Siri was to the new iPad, which was the 3rd generation iPad from March 2012, which was the first one with a Retina display. That got Siri then, and prior to that, the iPhone 4S got it in October 2011, so it was only 6 or so months later that the 3rd generation iPad ended up getting it, because that tablet was announced then, and then in iOS 6 they announced Siri was coming for the iPad, and then it was only on the iPad that came out in March 2012. So I'm expecting the exact same thing to happen for Touch ID. They bring it to the iPhone first, and then if it's a success, then they bring it to the rest of the product line. A8 processor with quad-core CPU would be most ideal for split-screen multitasking because then it can act as like a dual-core for each split screen, which would be quite logical from my non-engineering perspective. Double the storage at the same price points would be a really good incentive to get people to update their iPads, especially if they have the first generation or the second generation iPad. So this would be a good way to get users to update to it, especially if it also has Touch ID, to stay up to date with the most recent operating system that is released. So that's what I'm expecting for iPads. Number 2 is iPhones. Apple needs to drastically change the iPhone. Not too drastically, but drastic enough that it doesn't look stale and the same as any of the iPhones since 2010. I currently own an iPhone 5S and I'm struggling to see, apart from software updates, how much they can drastically change the iPhone, except add in stuff like NFC into it into the foreseeable future. Expect to see a 4.7 inch and a 5.5 inch model. I hope they do a 4.0 inch model, but chances are very slim for that happening based on all of the hype around it at the moment. Hopefully there will be a unique feature for the 5.5 inch model to give people more of an incentive, because it's going to obviously cost more, and possibly $50 extra on a 2-year contract, but latest rumours are saying it could cost as much as $100 more, so you're really asking consumers, do you want double the storage, or do you want a screen that is 0.8 inches larger, and maybe have an extra software feature? But that's really what it's going to come down to, choice for customers. The A8 processor is expected, possibly with a quad-core CPU, and being more energy efficient. A larger battery, since the dimensions of the phone will be larger, and in combination with a more energy efficient processor, if it can be more energy efficient and have a larger battery, you're going to get substantially longer battery life. So by doing that, it could then possibly rival phones like the Samsung Galaxy S5, or maybe not quite, but the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 in terms of battery life. So it's just a matter of time will tell. The lock button moved to the right hand side, which will be opposite the volume and silencer switch on your phone. Peel-shaped volume controls are expected because of the thinness of the device. They can't keep it at the round shape it currently is at the moment. Expected to be around 20% thinner, similar approach to what it was from the 4S to the 5. So maybe around 6 to 6.5 millimeters thin, and I mean it's thin enough as it is. All they just need to do is add curves to it and it's fine as it is. Check out my top 10 iPhone 6 predictions video, which is based on what I'm expecting the iPhone 6 to have. It was created quite a while back, so some of the stuff may be slightly outdated, but it gives you a lot of thoughts that were going through my head about what I was hoping to see way back then. I'll leave a link for it in the description below, and you can click on the text and check out my top 10 iPhone 6 predictions video as an annotation, and that will take you directly to that video. In that video, I express my thoughts on another screen resolution and supporting it from a developer perspective. Without going into too much depth, the updates to Xcode 6 for auto layout has made me want to support yet another resolution, because you basically create one template and it will adapt to all the various screen sizes, so that can accommodate for all the iPads, all the iPhones, all the screen sizes, possibly for an iWatch, and possibly for a larger iPad. So it can accommodate for that really easily, and makes it easier to then apply auto layout for each individual screen size. The antenna breaks on the back, which has had a lot of criticism at the moment. Keeping in mind this is all based on mock-ups, based on all the hype going around about what to expect for the next phone. All I will say at this point in time, based on the leaks, in relation to the mock-ups and all that coming out, is that you will probably have a case on the back of your iPhone anyway, so you're probably not going to see it, so it's not going to make that much of a difference. But For the people that don't have a case on it, then I can sort of agree with what you're trying to say, but hopefully it won't look like this. I hope they can colour it similar, like use a liquid metal or something to colour it similar to the coloured iPhone of your choice. So that's what I'm expecting for iPhones in relation to iPhone 6 this year, and also more included in my top 10 video. Number 1 is a new product I'm expecting. The iWatch. Hit like if you saw that coming. If the iWatch does not come out in 2014, I would consider Apple late to the game. It is currently set for an October release based on recent rumours. It could well have been in development at the same time as the Samsung Gear range and the Moto 360 were, but Apple only announces products just before they are released, with the exception of the original iPad and the original iPhone, the iPhone 2G. Health should be a key component to work alongside the health application in iOS 8 in terms of sending data from the iWatch to your phone, so then your phone can store all the data. Tap to Talk within Messages app for iOS 8, I can almost guarantee is going to be a key component to the iWatch, because if you raise the watch instead of your iPhone to hear an audio message, it's so much more convenient than getting it out of your pocket and all that, but Apple's obviously going to have a hard time trying to sell you this feature. And obviously you do the same thing to reply. And it's ideal for short, around 10-second period as a rough estimate. But it's not ideal for like extended phone calls, which is what Samsung is trying to do at the moment with their Galaxy range. Because if you want to be on a phone, you want to hold up your phone to your ear the whole time and have something to actually hold on to. But the whole convenience of just raising your watch, which is already on your wrist, towards your ear to respond to a message and to listen to a message to then respond to, would be a way of the future, I would imagine. And being connected to your phone, it will then send it through your phone and all that to whoever you send it to. The iWatch needs to have a legendary battery life, like a 1-week battery charge, because maybe have the processing power of like the iPhone 4, which was the A4 chip, which should be more than powerful enough, being only a single core for the iWatch, but the power efficiency of the A7, A8 processor would be definitely needed in order to have as long a battery life as possible. It needs a faster, more convenient way to charge, possibly wireless charging, and it should include Siri support when connected to an iPhone, since offline Siri support does not currently exist under iOS 8, so it would need the iPhone's internet connection, whether it be through Wi-Fi or cellular, in order to get access to Siri support. Then the price needs to be nailed perfectly. If it's too expensive, it's not going to sell. Maybe have like 4 gig of storage in there to allow enough room for software updates and all that, and you could probably charge around $250 to $300 because Apple charges a slight premium for their devices. And if they do that, I'll be slightly interested, but I would, if I ever were to get an iWatch, because I do currently wear an analog watch at the moment as it is, if I were to get it, I would possibly wait until the second iteration, until they really nail what the iWatch is. The aim for Apple at the moment is to try and make the iWatch as perfect as they possibly can. Sort of similar to what they did with the Apple TV, because they removed the need to store stuff on the hard drive. You got a better image quality and you can do stuff like AirPlay and all that. Just waiting until at least the second generation would definitely be worthwhile. And likewise for the iPad mini to get the Retina display back then. So what are you expecting most from Apple in 2014? Definitely let me know in the comments below. Please give this a like if you enjoyed it. Follow me on Google Plus and Twitter. And until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you later.